This episode brought to you by Audible.
Audible.
For your ear parallelograms.
Rhombuses.
Rhombuses.
Ear rhombuses.
For your earrombuses.
Earrombuses. Ooh, I like
Earrombuses.
that.
Yeah, I like it too.
I've only ever heard that word in my imagination.
Okay. Make sure you guys go to audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin to get 30 days free in a book to get you started. And for your book recommendation, I bring you a Jen.
I'm recommending Skeleton Crew by Stephen King because...
The Mist.
The Mist. Okay, so The Mist is in Skeleton Crew, but there's another short story called Grandma.
Look at me knowing things.
Oh, yeah, knowing things about books.
Oh, I see how it is.
There's a short story in this book called Grandma, which is about a little boy being left alone with his grandma, and it gets a little creepy. So if you like The Visit, you will love this story, and the story is really awesome. Anyway, so just check it out.
Cool. All right, guys.
Skeleton Crew.
audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin. Check it out. This episode also brought to you by our Burn It Down Patreon subscriber,
Nick B.
He wanted us to shout out a film that he wants to see, and it's currently trying to be funded on like a GoFundMe or something. It's called Preacher 6.
Ooh.
I actually did watch the 2 trailers they have up online for it at preacher6.com, and the biggest compliment I can give it is that I think I would hate it.
Yeah, which means that it is a terrifying movie.
Right, it looks like it could be a good movie. But
Yeah.
guys, follow at Kyle D. Hester, Hester, because he's the guy who's actually trying to get the movie made. Or just go to preacher6.com.
Yeah.
It honestly looks like it could be pretty good.
Bring in the theme music. This is Thunderdome.
Welcome to Thunderdome, bitch. All right, let's do this. Okay, like this, I'll spoiler alert, this movie was not as scary as like Grave Encounters, but it was still scary. And when I went down to the bathroom, I did like close the door and check behind the door and then move the shower curtain. Yeah.
Wow.
Our guest today, Owen Wilson. Wow.
Welcome to the Horror Virgin, everyone.
Wow.
Oh
I'm Jen.
what is that?
I know. I
sound you
can't figure
make?
out. Okay, so he makes a groaning sound every time he says my name.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out some revenge to take out on him.
I'm the Virgin Todd. Oh my God, I even like left a space for you to do it.
That's when I panicked and just rage quit the podcast. That's my revenge. My
How
ultimate
do you
revenge.
counter a groan?
I know.
Speaking of people who are on the podcast that we haven't introduced yet,
Hey.
we have a guest today.
Hey, Emily.
Hey, guys.
This is our guest, Emily.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
we don't even need Todd
guys.
today.
No, it's
Todd, put
great.
your mic down.
Yeah,
All right,
Todd,
bye guys.
We'll just, but keep running the board because we don't know how to
You'll
do
come
that.
to the
So we
end.
do
I've
still
been
need you for
demoted.
that.
I am now the Steven of this podcast.
You are Steven.
If you guys get that joke, you're MFM nerds, and
Yeah.
you're better for it.
Yeah.
Love that
that's right.
podcast. Karen can get it. Sorry. So yeah, Emily's our guest today. You're going to explain how you know Emily.
Emily is Jacob's wife, and
True
this
story.
is Jacob of the Modern Horror's flagship show, which we are
Yes.
part of that network.
Right.
But Emily and I also went to high school together.
True story.
5 years ago
Nerds.
because we're super
Yeah.
young, right?
Finished high school like nerds.
And to make it even nerdier, we were in the same show choir.
What? I was in
Although-
show choir.
Were you?
I wore a cummerbund and everything.
Yeah, well, we were going to have our
Man.
spin-off podcast, Cumberbuns and Character Shoes.
Carpet fitters. No.
Yeah.
No one's gonna get that joke. But it's funny. Jen, what movie did we watch?
What movie did we watch, Todd? We
I
watched.
just asked you.
Check your notes, Jen.
So we watched The Visit, which is
A movie.
A movie. It is a movie. It's a 2015 found footage by M. Night Shyamalan.
I think you're saying it wrong.
Fun
I don't know.
stuff
It
about
was a boring movie, guys. Let's just move on.
Oh yeah. So Todd distracted us with conversation for like 45 minutes because
Before we even started the movie.
because we told him it was found footage and he immediately decided I don't want any part of this.
But it's
So
weird. It's one of those found footage movies that's not super found footagey.
it's not. Yeah, because it's
you're
like
in the moment.
right, and it's like a faux documentary kind of thing.
So I feel like that changes.
It is more like,
right?
and that's a good way of putting it, like a mockumentary, like a This Is Spinal Tap, although that's
Right.
a much better movie.
Well, it's kind of like Behind the Mask.
Oh, yeah. Except Behind the Mask, which is a great movie, Nathan Come At Me, is...
Everybody drink.
Yeah, it's more like not found footage, but like a mockumentary, and then it flips to be like a movie, right?
Yeah.
Like towards the end. This never flips,
No.
but it gets real shitty.
Oh, yeah. And when we were thinking about watching this movie, hey, spoiler alert, we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie.
So much shit.
But I mean,
thank God he has that rap at the end because that lets me know he's okay and has moved on with his life.
I think that was the point in which Todd wanted that kid to die.
No.
Yeah.
Not early.
I wanted that kid to die early.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
when he opened his mouth.
I hated that kid. I hated both of them. I hate both the main characters in this.
But you know what's funny? Like when I first watched this movie, I loved that kid, but watching it a second time, I didn't like either of them.
I know. Yeah, they did annoy me a lot more this time.
I really didn't.
Well, and I think that Todd has taken out some aggression on this kid because he really just sees this guy as a version of himself when he was 12.
Did you say a virgin of myself?
I said a version of yourself.
Wow. Okay.
It did come out
So
virgin.
there are
Like a
some. Oh my
virgin.
God. So I have some friends that live in Florida.
For the very first time, because he clearly is rapping for the very first time.
Yeah. I have some friends in Florida, Terry, Jacqueline, and Laura, who have
What up,
videos of me as a 13-year-old kid, like doing some shit like that.
Terry and whoever the
Terry,
other
Laura,
people
and
are,
Jacqueline.
please send
Oh,
us those
yes.
videos immediately.
They.
Do you also have headgear and are doing a lightsaber thing around your
No,
garage?
I've never had headgear.
Did
But
you have a bowl cut?
yeah, I did. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Nice.
So yeah, like I hate him because I was that child.
Exactly.
Except not for rap. Like the only music I was allowed to listen to growing up was like Petra and like Christian metal.
Petra?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
For those of
Petra.
you who have heard Petra Unseen Power, the Unseen Power album, you'll know how truly awful musically my childhood was.
Oh my God.
Somehow
Yeah.
you survived, and this is what happens.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Starring in a virgin
Come at me,
podcast.
Petra nerds.
That's a dangerous road.
All right, so let's get into this fucking movie.
Yeah, so we got these two kids. What are we going to call these two kids? Because I couldn't remember their names.
T Diamond
Can we
Swizzle
just-
Stick, whatever
Yeah,
his name
Becca-
is.
T Diamond what?
T Diamond Swizzle Stick. What was his name?
I thought you said swizzle dick. I was like, this kid's 13. We cannot sexualize this child.
Oh no, there's
Emily
no
with her male
sexualizing this
gaze.
child.
No, he is the worst. I really do hate him.
Yeah, he is kind of obnoxious. But, I mean, I feel like they're, like, lovable. They're just
No.
extra precocious.
He is somewhat lovable, but the 15-year-old
well.
filmmaker, I hate her so much.
We went to high school with that girl. I'm sure.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
She's like Joey on Dawson's Creek times 1,000. Like, all the big
But-
words that she just learned yesterday
But
on her
no
calendar.
one talks like that. There
No, they
aren't
don't.
adults that talk like that.
No.
Nobody talks
Yeah.
the way she talks.
She takes herself very seriously as a
Very.
filmmaker. She
Oh, yeah.
wants the swing to swing organically. And actually, I think this is
the word you take issue with that she said was organically.
that's the one I can
She
remember.
said some of the craziest words. I'm 100% sure she used the word je ne sais quoi.
Oh,
in
nom de
this.
plume.
Oh,
That's
yeah, she
one.
used
That's
the word
when.
non de
Yeah,
plume.
That was step one down my road to hating.
What?
That happened. Yeah.
But I feel like this is probably like a pretty accurate portrayal of what teenagers are.
Well, you
What?
think about anybody who's trying to like
Teenagers don't talk
be
like that.
something more than what they currently are.
Right.
That,
What are you accusing me of right now? Rude.
I would never rap and say stupid stuff to a guy on a train.
Okay, so I didn't know what this movie was about, and we posted that thing on social, and someone mentioned freestyle rap, and in a comment, and I do rap sometimes to like get my voice warmed up for the show, but it's like it's not freestyle; it's just like Logic or whatever I've been listening
Or
to.
Fresh Prince.
Oh yeah. And I thought they were making fun of me because we've mentioned that on the podcast. I was like, this motherfucker making fun of me. I'm about to have to watch this scary movie, and I'm getting lambasted.
So does it all make sense now, Todd?
It does.
It
And I
does, yeah.
feel bad for the response. Anyway. So we open up on these two kids. Well, actually, we open up on their mom.
Yes.
They're interviewing, or the precocious douche of a teenage girl is interviewing the mom.
Yeah, she's interviewing her mom, and we
Who's
find
played
out.
by, I love this chick. She's great. She's
Catherine
really, really funny.
Hahn.
Yeah. She's been in Parks and Rec.
Rec,
She's
yep.
so good.
So
And
did this role surprise you to see her
not
in
really.
it? Yeah.
I mean, because she's really good in everything she does. I'm not surprised she got taps to do this.
Yeah, I think this is one of the first dramatic things. I probably
Yeah, I
shouldn't
mean
say
it's
that 'cause I
different.
don't
I
know.
mean it's different. It's
Yeah, she
definitely
normally
different
does
than
a lot
things
of
that she's usually
comedy.
Yeah, but she is very, very funny.
She was
And-
in Step Brothers too, I think.
I think so.
Wasn't
Yeah,
she Adam Scott, Dreamboat's wife?
Yeah, I think so.
I love
and
him.
Adam Scott again in Parks and Rec. I think that a lot of people who can do comedy can do other things because comedy is very difficult.
Yeah.
She's really, really good at that, and she can be funny in many different ways. I was not surprised to see that she was good in this movie. She was very good in this movie. Okay, so they're interviewing her.
A lot of kind of the background of the story, which we find out that she's got these 2 kids. The dad has left several years ago, and they're all kind of pretending they're okay, but still haven't dealt with some of their issues about it. And she hasn't spoken to her parents in 15 years because they had some kind of...
they had a fight.
Yeah. And I love that she says that I choose not to tell you about because, that's...
Grandma and Grandpa might.
Exactly. And I like the way she handled that. I always kind of think about that when I'm talking to my kids.
You have kids?
I do have kids. Where are they? Uh-oh.
This is when DCS comes knocking.
Exactly. Yeah. So her parents that she hasn't spoken to in 15 years have reached out wanting to get to know their grandchildren. So the grandchildren are going to go stay with her for a week while she goes on a cruise with her new boyfriend. And the kids are being really sweet about that. They're like, we want to tell her we support this new relationship. So we're going to give her this alone time and we're going to go spend time with our grandparents, which sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And it turns out awful.
Yeah.
Cruise sounds awesome though.
No, cruise.
I get scared of cruises.
I hate cruises.
I haven't either.
I can handle it.
I've been on 3. And all of them have been sort of not great.
Really?
Yeah, they're not great. The rooms are real small, and you're not really supposed to spend time in the room that much. And that would be fine if there was like fun things to do on the ship, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like going to like a shitty karaoke bar. They're not as fun as they appear to be in the commercials.
Yeah.
And that may be because I'm poor and I've gone on Carnival cruises.
Oh.
I bet there are better cruise lines than Carnival.
See, I
so
want to do like Viking cruise.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
like,
a river
like
cruise.
Where you sail into England and then like go to the church
Like,
because it's unguarded with a bunch of gold inside, and like people just like they won't go in because of God, and you don't believe in God, so you just bust down and kill the priest and take the gold and leave.
So you've been planning?
I've watched. Okay,
This sounds like Lord of the Rings.
full disclosure, I've watched a lot of The Last Kingdom on Netflix.
Okay.
It's great, and it's pretty much that.
The Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
There are a lot of stories about people disappearing forever on cruises too, so I'm a little bit afraid.
Yeah, like
That's
if
not,
you're
those aren't stories. That's Dateline.
Right, exactly. I know.
if you're going to
Real
murder your
life.
significant other right after you get married, that's where you go to do it.
I know, yeah.
International
time.
waters, guys.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, so then we meet the grandparents. They get on a train.
The train's great because you
This
have
is
the
when we learn
world's
that he's a
best
rapper.
train conductor.
This is true.
Because the train conductor comes over and does like the soliloquy or whatever, and then
To be or not to
the
be.
chick literally is like, "Oh, the battery's going down. They're going to turn this off just to
Right.
shut him up." And he's like, "Oh," and then
he drops a sick beat for our kid rapper.
he comes back and he's
Good.
like, "Oh, I'll beatbox for you." He wasn't
Yeah.
a great beatboxist. What do you
Well,
call
Okay,
it?
but let's
Beatboxer?
be real. Let's be real. T Diamond Swizzle Stick, whatever his name is.
No, I like it.
Does not know a steady beat to save his life.
No, he does not.
It's clear that kid does not normally rap,
yeah.
and
No.
he was asked to do something that is outside of his realm of possibility.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And he did his best.
The beatboxing was on beat.
There were just a lot of extra beats and measures and
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
quite figure out
He's
how.
the world's worst rapper.
There was a rhyme there, but it was like 5 syllables later than it should have been.
Right.
Hey, he committed though. He went
He
for it.
did commit.
It made me hate his character,
Kudos.
though, and I'm not sure if that's the point of it, but
Yeah, I think that's the point where you wanted that kid to die. Is that correct?
we also learned on the
Yeah.
like 5 minutes in when he started his rapist.
Yeah, he said he was
was
a
like-
rapist.
Yeah, I was like,
I
want
wrote
this
it
kid to die.
down, and
Yeah.
it does not look like I wrote down the word rapist.
I bet
No, it does not.
not.
It looks like a different word.
Yeah,
Should I have 2 P's in
Yes, yes.
just start.
there? 2 P, 1 B.
This is where we learned that the rapist, DJ Swizzlestick or whatever his name is,
Yeah, I like it.
where
DJ
we learned
Jazzy
that
Swizzle.
he has a germ issue.
Yes,
he's a
he's a
germaphobe,
germaphobe.
right?
Yeah.
Because his dad left, and that's the only thing he can control or whatever.
Right.
I don't know anything about the psychology behind that, but that's what they say.
And so then they get to the grandparents'
They
house.
do, and well, they get to the grandparents at the train station, and they set up the camera from far away, and then they go meet them, and then they introduce them
For
at the train
perspective.
station, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This is Pop, I think she
Pop
said.
Pop and Nana, I think.
And
Yeah.
Glam Mom.
Todd's stealing my joke.
I can't remember why you said
I
that.
said Grandma because she's doing.
has the swirly hair.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
She's
right.
doing
She
an
got glammed up in the
interview.
It was real funny,
Like I
though.
said, Grandma.
I heard you say it, and I was like, what? That's beautiful. That's
I will
amazing.
steal it one day.
Yeah. Can we talk about this fucking movie?
Yes. Okay. So interviews at the train station, so
Yeah.
we get to know the grandparents.
Oh, then the grandparents take them back to the murder house.
Right. And they're just kind of basic, weird, kind of, you don't know them very
people.
well.
Honestly, I mean, it's early in the movie. It is very much, hey, we've never met our grandkids before.
Right,
Let's get to know our grandkids type
We're
shit.
old.
Yeah.
We're not used to having kids around, so
Yeah, and
we
they live
don't-
on a farm. We should mention that. There's
Yes.
like a barn and a poop barn,
an
and then there's like a farmhouse.
We're gonna
an
call
org-
it the shit shack.
The
shit
shitty
shack. Nice.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's fair.
In an organically swinging swing that they
Yes.
just stand behind.
I thought it was an organic shit shack. I'm
An
sorry.
organic- I mean,
yeah.
it is an organic
Manure,
shit shack.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point in the movie, Todd, was there anything telling you like shit's about to go down? Like, was there anything that was just sending off red flags for you?
I'm always sort of in that zone. Like, no joke. I'm always sort of in that zone and scared.
Yeah.
Which is why when they first go to the barn the first time and you hear a horse go,
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh, you
jumped because
did.
I was
Yeah,
scared.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's the biggest of the land mammals.
That was the reasoning.
Is that what I said?
You did.
That is what you said.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
I think you forgot about buffalo and moose, but
And
you know.
Okay.
probably they're mammals, right? Horses are mammals?
Yeah.
Do we
I
ever
don't
see a
know.
horse? We never see any.
No,
I don't
we
think
never
we
see.
do.
Honestly,
The horses have been dead for 20 years.
there probably aren't horses actually in the movie. And we'll talk about the budget of this movie, but it wasn't a big budget. So I
Yeah.
bet there weren't any horses, but they just, throw on sound effects to make it sound like they're there, which is fine.
Right. And to
Army.
scare Todd.
Yeah.
Because it worked. But we just it's kind of borderline weird. Nothing really seems too out of the ordinary
Sure.
yet.
It does seem awkward, but no more awkward
Yeah.
than it would be if you had never met your grandparents and you're a 15-year-old
Sure.
girl who talks like a precocious douche.
But the kids seem to be like getting along with their grandparents. Like
Right.
they're cooking together. They're
Well,
having some
bonding themselves too.
Right.
I think that's a big part of the storyline too. Is
the
that-
brother and sister.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
they-
I do like their relationship.
Their relationship grows.
yes,
in it.
Mhm.
I mean,
and they
if-
kind of
yeah.
work through their stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I do like about the brother and sister. As much as they annoy me, they do like seem to really care about each other and have
Right.
good chemistry with each other. We'll talk about that later too.
They do. Like I bought them as a brother and sister duo
I did too. Yeah,
because I hated them both sort of equally.
Yeah.
And that made sense
they
to me.
both got that obnoxious gene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely got that from the father, though, because the mom is great. I love the
Yeah.
mom. She could get it.
Although maybe that obnoxiousness, once you get to be an adult, you like temper that down to comedy.
Are you
Sure,
accusing me
yeah.
of something right now?
Like you just
Explains so much about Todd. right now.
exactly. Like you
Yeah.
try all that stuff, you say all that obnoxious stuff, and then eventually you start to learn how to filter out the stuff.
Yeah. You self-edit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no joke. I was, and my mom can attest to this, the worst as a child.
Yeah.
Like,
Shocking.
I'm surprised she didn't put me out of the house more than she did.
Oh, I could imagine.
I mean,
you
there
just
were
running around
times.
being
There were
really
times when my
loud.
mom was like, "Come back when it's dark outside."
So I think one of the first things we see is Grandpa, when it's time to go to bed at night, Grandpa's like, "We're old. We go to bed
Yeah,
early."
which honestly isn't too weird. Like
No.
when and this movie made me glad both my grandparents are dead. But my granddad would say that kind of stuff to me all the time.
Sure,
If I was staying with them, he'd be like, "Hey, I mean, the one thing he does say is stay in your room."
Yeah.
It's sort of weird, but we go to bed at 9:30 is not weird.
No, it's
for
not.
an old couple. Like, yeah, I get
That's
it.
what I say. 9:30 honestly is a little late for me. Like
Oh wow.
It is.
like
but
about-
what time do you get up?
4.
Yeah, she
So
gets up
that's
at
why.
4 a.m.
Oh,
That's the only time I can
that
be by
your time?
myself in my
Okay.
house.
I get
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I
I
like to
get that.
exercise in the morning because that way it's done and I don't
Yeah.
have to try to
I like
fit
to
it
exercise in the morning too. So they go to bed.
They go to bed
9:30.
and then she's gonna sneak out and steal some cookies because
Oh, that's right. This is the first time we see Grandma doing some weird ass
She's
shit.
just wandering
Yeah.
around spewing puke everywhere.
Is it puke?
Right.
I'm not
Todd.
gonna say what Todd said it might be.
So the precocious douche of
We
a
got to think of a different nickname.
yeah, I hate her though. Anyway, the 15-year-old walks.
Future
to the,
Orson Welles.
she's the worst. Rosebud walks to the steps.
I like it.
and looks down the stairs, and she sees. The grandmother
Mm-hmm.
who was like alive during Orson Welles' time, and she's just like she throws up like I think 3 separate times.
Yeah, she
And
just
I
spewing.
hate.
It's just biley.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
It
biley.
is. It's very viscous.
Yes.
It was real gross.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so
I don't like
She
puke
had not
either.
eaten any cookies.
No, yeah.
Oh,
Gross.
That's
that
later.
Oh, gross.
yeah, it's real gross. Anyway, so she and then runs back to the room, right?
Yeah, and
Don't
so
they hear some sounds after that too?
I don't remember them hearing a whole bunch of
I don't
sounds
know
in
if
the
it was
morning.
that time or like the other times.
Yeah, I
The
think they
sounds the other
start to hear
time.
the sounds
Yeah.
the next night. But yeah, so, and we may not say this every time, but there's a pattern. Like, whenever one of them sees the grandmother doing something, we'll cut to a conversation of the grandpa, like, explaining why she just had a 24-hour bug.
Right.
Or when we see the shit in
Well,
the
that was a
shit
24-hour
shack,
bug,
That
yeah.
was a 24-hour bug. So then we see the grandfather kind of explaining that away.
Yeah.
Oh, she's just old, which is basically what all of the excuses boil down to. They're just old.
Yeah.
Old
Right.
people are weird.
Yeah.
I don't believe old people are weird, but that's kind of
That is
what...
the dynamic of what they're trying to get across.
Exactly.
Sure. Or old people have ailments that they have to deal with.
And even when
sort
they're
of.
called mom, Catherine Hahn, when she's about to go on the cruise, she explains the same thing.
Yeah,
she's
Old
like
people,
they're
old
old.
people, you know, it's
Right.
going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's when your favorite Rosebud, she
I hate that woman so much.
that's when she's like, see, I told you,
Right,
Swizzle
yeah.
Stick, it's fine.
Yeah,
So-
it's okay. Okay, so we got
Swizzle Stick.
Rosebud and Swizzle Stick. I like it.
We have settled on nicknames, Jack.
So the next thing we see, the next kind of major thing is one of my favorite parts is when they're under the house.
Okay, so I hate this because this is where it gets like truly found footage-y, which is
Yes, the quick cuts that you
I hate it so much. So it's the brother who's under there first.
Yeah, Swizzle.
And then Swizzle, DJ Swizzle Stick
Yeah.
is under the
Swizzy Swizz.
Yeah, under the house. And this is their mom had told them about this.
Yeah, like
Yes.
playing hide and seek
That
under
was
the
like
house.
a favorite
Yeah.
game of hers when she was little.
Yeah,
Because
and then
it's like enough of like it's like couch level. You can crawl
It's
underneath.
literally
it.
a crawl space. Like,
Yes.
it's perfect
Yes.
crawl space.
very much. Like this is where animals go to die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he grabs the sister's foot and she like gets startled and then they decide to play hide and seek under there. And it's
Because their mom used
literally-
to do it and she told him about it.
It literally is two found footage-y type cameras, one with him, one with her, crawling under this house, and it's just very freaky.
because
Like
then
I didn't like it when it was just the two of them and there was no weird ass grandma.
weird
Did you
ass
realize
grandma.
it was the grandma
Exactly.
when you first like
Yeah, I
saw-
knew it was the
okay,
grandma, but
okay.
only because the night before, she was acting weird, throwing
Yeah.
up down the steps.
Right.
So I figured grandma's losing her shit, possibly grandpa's losing his shit. Come to find out later, he actually is
like-
literally losing his shit.
no,
but,
he keeps track of it.
well, yeah, but he is unfortunately losing it at a very awkward time.
He's just placing it in inappropriate places.
well, yeah, that's
I mean,
fair.
what are you going to do? You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but this is where.
So then we
I
see
forget who sees her
Samara
first.
from the ring. If she
Oh,
were
yeah.
70, crawling
Old
after
Samara,
them. Old Samara,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it. So yeah, you see him crawling after. See her crawling
with
after
her white hair hanging
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hanging
she's like,
down.
Becca, I'm gonna get you.
I
You
think
never
it's-
see her face.
Not until she comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she follows the boy first, DJ Swizzle Stick.
It all happens so fast.
It does.
Yeah.
And then
And it's
that's right.
super
It is the boy.
creepy.
It is the boy because he screams and then he like darts past her.
Yeah.
And then she's got the camera facing her and over her shoulder you see old Samara crawling up on Rosebud.
Uh-huh.
And then she's saying Becca, which is Rosebud's real name.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Uh-huh.
And then Rosebud freaks out and climbs out or runs
Yes.
out. And then they fall out of there and then they see the grandmother walk out.
Uh-huh.
And she's
And
just
she's
like,
like, hey,
whatever.
this
It's
is
fine.
fun.
It was a fun game we just played.
Right,
It
right.
creeps me out when she stands up and she's just wiping her knees that are just like caked in mud.
Yeah.
Then Todd's favorite part when she turns around.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wouldn't say this is my favorite part. I wouldn't say this is my favorite part,
It
but
did
she
take you-
honestly, for an old lady, and I wasn't like into it, but she had sort of a good butt for like a 60-year-old woman.
No, she's like in her 70s.
Yeah.
She,
But
she is
she-
the Helen Mirren. She's a low rent Helen Mirren.
She
I'd say.
honestly, she's doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she turns around and we see first she's not wearing underwear and that her skirt has been torn so we can see half of her ass. And Tom
Yeah.
was like, okay.
So what you're saying is she half-assed that hide and
She
seek game.
half-assed it, yeah.
Nailed it. Yeah, like seriously though, it was scary though. I did not like it.
It was. And it's one of those things where you could talk yourself into this is okay. This is still just a game. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
But there's something underlying that is not right. And
yeah,
so this
I
is
definitely taught myself into this is okay when she comes out and she's laughing.
Yeah,
and
I did
she's wiping
too.
her knees.
I did too.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
yeah.
This is maybe this is the way grandmas play. I don't know.
Exactly.
And honestly, when I first saw this in the theater with Jacob, that part absolutely killed me.
Yeah.
But then watching it now, that part didn't bother me as much.
It wasn't
It honestly
as
wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to
It's
be.
really unnerving.
It
I
is.
think. Yeah.
So it's more unnerving, especially because the first jump scare is not bad. In fact, during these types of situations, I get really like squirmy
Yes.
and I like duck down in my chair and pull my hoodie over my hat
Mm.
and like I just don't like it. And then by the time the first jump scare happens, which did scare me, it's more creepy because at that point you kind of see her in every shot and
Mm-hmm. Right.
it's fine because you know where she is. But when she's crawling up behind Rosebud,
Yeah,
I hated that.
It is creepy. But I tried to record you because I was going to try to get some kind of
Yeah.
scream, and there wasn't really any kind of big moment. Here,
No,
you
'cause
know?
the actual jump scare-
It's very building.
Yeah, because the actual jump scare in that is not super scary. It's the
not.
buildup of it. You're right.
Right. So then we see Dr. Sam shows up.
Yeah, there really isn't much that happens with Dr. Sam.
There's not.
It's a
about that.
welfare check. Really,
It is. Right.
And then you think something might happen, but it's not until our other friend
Stacy, yeah,
comes.
because we find out the grandparents haven't shown up for work, which you could tell yourself their grandkids are in town. Maybe they just forgot to say. Also,
Sure.
they're volunteering, so
Yeah.
what are you going to
You
do?
can kind of push all that off. It's
Right.
Normal.
But then we see Grandpa standing by the shed and staring at Swizzle, and then just kind of walking away. So
Yeah,
we
and
know
doesn't
Even
acknowledge.
after he says pop,
Yeah, he
pop.
says pop,
Yeah,
pop,
yeah.
and Granddad's like,
like
no.
they have
Yeah.
that eye contact, so it's not like he just didn't hear him.
Yeah.
Right.
So then we start to think maybe there's some gross,
Something in the shed.
There's some shit in that shed.
And there is some shit in the
And-
shit shack for
Yep.
sure.
So
what
we
were
get-
you anticipating?
Yeah,
In
what
the
do you
shit
think was
shack?
going to be in there?
What did you think
I
was gonna
honestly
be
thought
in
it would be
there?
like a. Well, I didn't know because it was early on in the movie when he goes
Yeah.
in there,
Right.
And that's. I mean, it doesn't happen right then. He goes back. I think the next day.
Right, but it's not too far away.
It's not, no,
because there
it's-
isn't anything I really wrote down.
Yeah, it really is sort of like the next day that he goes
Yeah.
in there. I thought they would find like a dead body or maybe like a
Right.
shovel with some blood on it or something.
Or like
that,
a dead animal or something.
Yeah, or something that indicated maybe they're killing people or
Right,
whatever. And that I guess doesn't happen until much later in the movie. But I mean, they found diapers.
Yeah.
And that was
gross adult
weird.
diapers.
Yeah.
It was real weird.
Yeah, you can hear. I like the sound at that point because you can hear all the flies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's.
Well, that's why I thought a
really
body or
loud, you know,
something.
And he
And
says
all
it
the
smells like
flies.
shit in here
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
For a good reason.
And
yeah.
it's because
So
there's
there's
shit in
just
there.
piles of used shit diapers.
Yeah.
Right.
in
Not
there.
even in bags.
No.
I think that bothered me more than anything.
Yeah,
is that
as
they
a
weren't
parent.
bagged. Yeah, as somebody who like changes babies' diapers often, it's just like put that shit in a bag. you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Or at least
can
a
I-
diaper genie.
Honestly, it wasn't very crazy. I
Yeah.
was very, very unnerved until, okay, so it wasn't right when he saw the shit. I thought the shit may have been like oh, thank God it's just shit, and then a turnaround jump scare. But
Right.
once he turned around and there was no jump scare, I figured we were safe.
Right. At that point in the movie, like there's not been a whole lot of jump scare stuff. I mean,
No.
really under the
Really, Under the House is
Under
the
the
only
House.
one, yeah.
but at that point, yeah. I mean, there's really been nothing. What day is it at that point? Tuesday?
So what happens after the shit shack?
Well, then we have the next conversation with Nana this time,
Oh, and
saying,
she's
"Well,
explaining
your
the poop.
Oh, that's
explaining
right,
it
that's
away. Your grandfather's just
She
incontinent."
is poop-splaining,
She
100%.
she's normalizing that poop.
But honestly, if I learned anything from watching Ozzy Osbourne live, it's that sometimes old men pee and shit themselves.
They do. The next major thing we see, they go around the town.
Oh, yeah, so
like
the
showing the high school.
Pop is driving them around.
Yeah, and then Pop attacks some guy who's just
Yeah.
on the street that he says is
Oh,
following
you know what?
him.
I just thought of this. When they're driving around, they see the hospital.
They do.
The mental health institute
Yeah, and
or
he's talking
whatever.
about needing his badge.
Right. He's like, if I can find my
His-
badge.
my maple-shaped badge.
Yeah, because the badge, I guess we don't find the badge later on the, spoiler alert, dead grandparents, but he just doesn't know where the badge is because he's not the actual grandfather. I didn't
Right,
think
and that's
about
why
that.
they can't go visit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
To me, I didn't really think about it until now, but do you think that guy on the street is looking at them because maybe these people have been on the news because they've been missing from this mental health hospital or something?
Oh,
You know what I
shit.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I actually was thinking about that this time. Like maybe that guy does recognize them or recognize Pop because these people have clearly escaped this
Right.
mental health place.
Right.
What if
Yeah,
that's
but I
been on
would
the
think
news?
like they would put that together with the two grandparents who also didn't show up too, and that they could quickly go to the house to kind of check stuff out. But maybe he did because I mean
Yeah.
that would be on the news. Escaped mental
Right.
patients.
But you know,
yeah, it would.
Right. But I mean, really, it's like these two grandparents, you know, we had the doctor stop by to check on them. Like, really, the police aren't going to be involved in any case, small town, big town, whatever, until somebody has said these people are missing.
Right.
And there's like a welfare check. So it's
Yeah.
like he's kind of doing that welfare check first before involving police. And as we find out later, when Catherine Hahn is like calling the police officer, I mean, the
Like
one officer,
Deputy Jerry,
Oh my
you know,
God, yeah.
he's not. He's like going
you know,
to get
on
donuts.
call, you know, whatever. So it's
I
like
shouldn't say he's getting
clearly like not a whole lot of follow up with missing persons.
Right.
in this
Exactly.
town, You know, so
Yeah, so it could be.
But anyway,
Yeah.
he does attack that guy who he thinks is staring at him. And we honestly don't see, because the way the camera is shot, we don't see if he's staring at them or not, but he
we
might
just
very
see him
well be.
run over and attack
And
some
Pop
guy.
old man strikes him to the
Pop
ground.
pops off.
Oh, he does. He old man strikes him to the ground, and then that's it. Like he's like, we gotta go,
Yeah.
go. Let's get back in the car, and they leave. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
And that's when Todd said, "I can't wait to be old, so I can just do whatever I want."
I did.
You
As they
did.
were walking back to the car, I was like, I can't wait to be old. I could like push people around and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm old.
Right,
It's fine.
right. He was taking care of all those
I
fictional
mean, old
horses.
man strength is a actual documented thing. Like it is a known feature. Like if
you don't
ever,
lose your strength just because you're old.
No, like old men just get old man strength. Like if you ever need a jar opened, take it to your granddad.
Has that been
motherfucker-
documented by science?
No, did you think I actually meant by actual science? No, yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson is doing. It's on the next episode of Cosmos. They
Cosmos.
talk about old man strength.
Okay, so the next thing that happens is it's nighttime on the second night, and this is when I think they do start to hear the noises. And
It's like
there's
the scratching, right? It's
Yeah,
the scratching on the
scratching.
hallway
Wait,
wall.
is this where we see naked grandma?
Yes.
But first, the son says he's going to open the door for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Right,
to
right.
the point where I was just like,
Just open the door.
I am terrified of everything. I was like, open the fucking door, DJ Swizzle Sticks. Stop threatening to. This is the worst build-up ever.
He's got to do a little Fresh Prince rap to get himself warmed up.
Yeah, he's got to build up to it. So DJ Swizzle Sticks finally opens the door, and we see naked grandma scratching at the door frame on the door across.
Yes.
And then he comes back and he says, I'm blind.
Yes.
Yeah.
That actually was a pretty funny moment.
Yeah.
So it went from it honestly wasn't super scary because it wasn't super in your face.
Right.
It was just naked grandma who's honestly pretty well put together. Like she
could have gotten it 20 years ago.
Maybe like 40 years ago.
I don't know.
But yeah, I bet she was a really attractive younger woman.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
at this point, they haven't explained anything about her like night terror stuff. Really.
No, they have not.
No.
But Granddad does the next morning because we're still in that cycle of something weird happens, it gets explained away. Something weird happens, it gets explained away. Like with the poop in the shit shack, or
and
with
I'm
her
not
throwing
exactly
up.
sure when this comes in. Oh yeah, but they say she's sundowning, and
Yes.
this is actually
It is actually a thing.
It is.
Well, I mean, I don't know that that's true, but she actually looks it up in the video.
We're
or in
not
the movie.
scientists or doctors, so if we say this thing wrong, please don't be
I'm
offended.
not a doctician. I don't know this kind of stuff.
Right, but
she definitely
from my
does look it up.
research watching The Notebook, I know that sundowning is a time of the day when you suddenly realize that you've been in love with James Garner the whole time.
Yes.
And that Ryan Gosling was your true soulmate, and that he just didn't get those letters.
And then we died together in a nursing home.
I know. It's so sad. I love that
I do
movie.
cry every time I
do.
Hashtag
And
sundowning.
I worked every day for a year.
It still isn't over. Yeah, I don't even like rom-coms, and I like that one.
That's not a rom-com. That's just
What
a
is it?
rom.
That's just
A rom?
There is no com
it's a-
in that movie at all.
No, it's a romantic drama.
Yeah. It's a
rom-dom.
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 It's a rom-dom.
I got there first.
It's like, no, you didn't.
Okay, so he explains it away with sundowning.
Yes.
Which actually is probably close to what's happening. Like she just kind of goes a little more nuts at
Right. It's a
nighttime.
neurological thing with the sunlight and moonlight is the explanation that we're given.
Right. But again, the weird behavior is explained away. They talk to the mom. The mom's like, look, they're old.
Yeah.
Just deal with it.
Yeah.
And
Listen, I'm getting railed on this cruise. Can you guys not just have fun
There's a
with your
hairy
grandparents?
chess competition.
Yeah.
I can't miss it.
I can hear the cougars going crazy.
Right.
Of which she is one.
Right.
And the sister's Rosebud's trying to explain this stuff away too, because she has been talking about how she wants her mom to get this elixir, which is like her
I hate her so much. Nobody talks like that.
I know.
So while she's saying all the elixir stuff, at any point are you just kind of like, is there an actual elixir? Like, what is the elixir?
What are you, Link in Legend of Zelda? What are we talking about?
Right.
It's dangerous
The
out
elixir
there.
of life.
Take this.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so dumb.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like she'll take
lot.
it and then it'll make the dad want to come back or something.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't
No,
catch that.
she just
She's
wants
got
her to get.
Miguel and his hairy chest.
Oh,
Jen.
who needs
she
dad?
Needs not dad.
Exactly. She needs not. She needs.
But the daughter, Rosebud, wants her to get the forgiveness, and we tie that back
That's
into
what
the
it
end.
is.
Yes, she's
But
taking
whatever,
responsibility for her mom's feelings, which she
Yes.
doesn't need to be doing.
No, she
but
does not.
that's part of why she doesn't want to leave, because I
Right.
think the son's like, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, the son early on is like, "Hey, we need to go."
Yeah.
Right.
She's
Something
got
weird is
She's on a
happening.
mission. I mean,
She
she
is.
really is. So I think she puts blinders on for a long time
Absolutely.
as she's trying to get that goal met.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I think it's also a way of her working through her issues with her own father abandoning
Sure.
her.
Yeah,
too.
that's absolutely a good point.
So, I mean, I kind of understand where Rosebud's coming from. So then someone's in the kitchen with Grandma, and they're
Somebody-
with grandma.
cooking in the oven. I
Pies
know.
and peaches. I don't know what I'm saying. Can we just move on with this fucking movie?
I had a line and somebody's singing about peaches. Yeah, so someone's in the kitchen with Grandma cleaning the old oven.
Oh, is this when she's like, "Hey, get in the oven and clean it"?
The first
Yeah.
time.
This is ridiculous.
And Todd asked 5,000 times how big an oven is,
There
how
is-
deep an oven
there
is.
No, I think I
Todd.
said big, but yeah.
Let's go find out.
No,
Yeah, and that's
no,
what we said.
No, I'm never cleaning a fucking
We got
oven.
out our
Did you
cookbooks.
notice? I love that scene though. Like, she's asking her to get further and further in, and she's wringing the towel. Like her hands start to
didn't
get
notice
The first time,
really. Yeah.
I did notice that.
Her
The
hands
second
start
time,
to
it's
get
not
really
quite that way.
active on the towel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Like that's so good.
The old lady and the old man too. They do a great job
yeah.
in this movie. They are great.
Yeah, they are. Really
And
good.
honestly, the kids aren't bad. I just hate them. But I think the reason
they
I
do
hate
a
them
good
is
job
because
of playing obnoxious kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think they're written poorly, honestly, and that's why I hate them.
I'll agree.
But I think that they were giving the director and the writer what they were looking for.
I think
was
so, too.
M. Night Shyamalan and M. Night Shyamalan on
that makes
both
sense.
of
Because I
those.
don't feel like M. Night Shyamalan has talked to a child since 1984.
I don't think so.
And
Yeah.
I think that may be court mandated. We'll get into it.
Oh, you got some
I
fun
don't
facts
know.
I don't know about. Turns out he's been dead the whole time, so the only kid that talks
Wouldn't
to
that be
him
the
is
best?
Haley Joel
like,
Osment.
Oh,
the
man.
best trick or the best, like,
He really owned all of us.
oh, man,
theater
if he had been
viewers.
dead for like 10 years.
This is all part of the same universe.
And he
Right.
was putting out like movies like Tupac.
Is Tupac still alive? We probably
No.
couldn't. Okay, so someone's in the kitchen with grandma. She gets in the oven. Oh, and then she finally agrees. And I was so proud of this joke. She agrees to have her interview where they're going to start talking about the
Oh,
mom.
yeah.
And she gets all her makeup on and she gets her swirly hairdo. And I said it's her glamma interview.
Yeah, she's getting she's getting her glamour.
That was the point at which I was disappointed this was a podcast and not a video cast because I was about to do some hairdos.
Oh, yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. All
It
the
was.
swirls.
Yeah. Very put together.
And honestly,
Yeah.
for a 7-year-old woman, she's doing all right. Like, I would be very happy if my wife was that pretty when she was 70.
She's
Yeah.
got
But
nice
honestly-
hair, too.
Yeah, she does. And honestly, the old dude is like still trim.
He
like
can get
he's doing all
Man
right.
strength.
Yeah,
Man
he
strength
needs to
grandpa.
work on his incontinence, though, because that
Oh,
is a deal
yeah.
breaker for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is one
You
of
don't
the
wanna find
to
that in the
bed.
back
That
of your
bed's
car.
getting real shitty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he
Gross.
he takes it to the shit shack
He does.
Yeah.
and then burns it in the field.
Oh,
later.
can you imagine how that smells?
No.
Ugh.
I think I threw up in my mouth a little.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so anyways, our grandma hairdo does not last very long because as soon as
Oh, she starts
they
shaking like a
mention-
dog.
Yeah.
when she
It was
asks what
intense.
happened with your daughter, she's like starts shaking and like hitting herself and like barking and making weird
Why do you
sounds.
think that is? Because we find out later the turn is that they're not the real grandparents,
I
right?
think it's because she is confronted with a story that she's not going to be able to do, and it's like she's pretending to be this woman.
Oh, you think she's pretending?
I think so.
Okay.
I think she's kind of like living
I mean, she is
vicariously
pretending
a
to be
little
their
bit.
grandmother.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think in this moment, I think it's taking her back to herself.
I
putting
thought
the
that
babies
too.
in the soup.
I thought that too.
Yeah,
So
you're
that's
probably
why
I think that's what it is
right.
because they are pretending for sure, but I think that was the point where it was like hitting home and real.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I was,
you're
that's what I
right.
thought too.
Okay, so then it's night again, and we open the door and we see Grandma running around and crawling right up. And this is when we posted our clip on social
Oh man,
media.
this scared the hell out of me. And honestly, like this, when she was running around for a split second before it got real scary. Because a lot of the open the door scenes where they hear a noise and open the door, they're not super scary. They are sort
because
of
the
alarming.
grandma hasn't seen them.
Right.
Right, the grandma's
Right.
just kind of doing her own thing and not
Right.
interacting with them
Yeah,
at all.
But when she was running around for like a split second, I was like, that's sort of impressive because she's running with her arms behind her.
Yeah,
the actress
that's
is
right.
doing a great job of
That's
like
right.
running in the dark, arms
Mm-hmm.
behind her, leaning forward in a very strange way. And then when she starts crawling back, that's when I get very uncomfortable.
Yeah, crawling right to the
And
door.
that scared the shit out of me.
But she
It
never
did.
makes eye contact with them at that
I don't
point.
think
She's
so.
just
No, she
crawling
doesn't.
toward them.
She's
right?
got Samara
Okay.
hair, I think.
Yeah,
But that's when I was like, close that door, bitch, or whatever.
Yeah.
I said.
Yeah.
Like,
Check out our socials if you want to
Yeah,
see it.
it's
A
very
fun little
terrifying.
video.
it wasn't as big as the jump scare when like when I fell out.
that
whatever.
broke Todd that I'm so sad I didn't record.
Well, I told you to stop recording, man.
I know. So then we have the brother and the sister interviewing each other about their dad leaving.
Yeah. And this is where we find out more information about it. Because honestly, up at this
Exactly.
point, we don't really know. We know that the mother is divorced.
Yes.
And on a cruise with another guy who she just started dating. So there's an implication of a divorce.
Right.
But
and
there
we
isn't
know
really much
that the
information about it.
relationship with the dad is the reason that she got into an argument with the parents and has been estranged.
Right.
Yes.
And the daughter is 15 years old and she left 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So clearly that was going on
right.
during,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, so that made sense to me
Craig
too.
T. Nelson situation.
Oh, no. Craig T. Nelson married that chick when she was like
That's true.
16.
Well, we don't know that they
in
didn't get married.
Poltergeist, yeah.
Oh,
If
There's
you do
some
math
age
in
math that
yeah,
doesn't
if you do
matter. Yeah.
age math in Poltergeist, you'll realize that Craig T. Nelson is a certified pedophile.
Oh.
We hear this football story about the brother. He's
That
not.
he gets paralyzed when he's scared.
Yes, he freezes, and
Yes.
even after the game, like he can't do anything.
Right.
Yeah, which comes back into
Right.
play. And then we also we learn that the sister doesn't look at herself in the mirror, and her sweater's inside out because she doesn't look at herself to
Right.
realize
And
this.
she's dumb.
and very
I don't look at
pretentious.
myself in the mirror every time I put clothes on, but I don't put them on inside out.
I know. Yeah, I know how clothes work.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
an idiot.
See,
But-
I actually kind of like that whole little scene, even though she's in the middle of a driveway in a chair, which is totally normal. You guys do this, right?
Oh yeah,
Why
Well,
don't you
we're
look at
recording
me?
in a
Like, I
driveway
don't
right
know.
now.
But like I
Live from Jane's driveway.
Podcast on.
A little Wayne's World reference. Well done. All right.
I think up until that point, she's really, really not likable. And in that moment, when you kind of see her break a little bit, that changed it for me. Like
Yes.
I didn't hate her as much. I felt like she became more
But
likable.
did you
in that
still
moment.
hate her?
as much.
I didn't hate her as much either. I agree completely with what you're saying, but I still hated her.
And I think we can see a little bit into this window, like she's putting on this veneer of this outer shell of who she thinks she should be to try to make herself good enough for maybe her father to love her or something like that.
Well, and that for me is when the relationship really changes between the siblings, because later, like when she's like wiping his hands clean, when he, it's just like you kind of see this moment where they're connecting that we haven't really, and I mean they're just typical brother sister before that, and here's where it's like they're a team versus everything that's happening to them.
And the dynamic of family in this is that we're not really dealing with these problems that we have. We're just avoiding. And so this is when they do actually start to connect. And I kind of love how the camera just focuses on something at the end of the walkway and she's kind of in the corner of the frame.
Like way in the background.
Right. And
she's still in it, but it's really just like a little bit more than half of her face.
Well, she kept asking, like, are you messing with the camera? And he's saying, no. But clearly he is,
Right. And I kept thinking, because it's a found footage movie, are we going to see something down at the end?
Me too.
But we didn't.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's just this is a moment where they put the cameras down and they are really connecting with each other. And I do like that.
I did like the fact that she isn't like a regular, typical 15-year-old girl that you see in movies. And not that all 15-year-old girls are this way, but typically if you're a 15-year-old girl in a movie, you're like a mean girl kind of girl.
Yeah, or kind of ditzy.
Yeah.
Or like obsessed with your boyfriend.
Right. And she is not like that at all.
Mm-hmm. No, she's not.
She's probably not asexual, but there is no sexuality of her. Like there's no guy she's
not
obsessed
overly
with.
concerned with her appearance.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, because
so
I feel
sort of like that.
Like half of the girls like of this age, and if you look at Krampus, like the girl's always concerned with her boyfriend or texting or getting bars because she won't be able to connect with this guy that she has a crush on.
I do think this would pass the Bechdel test. I don't know for sure, but I think it would.
Yeah, because she has a conversation with a grandmother.
Yeah. Listen to the Bechdel cast if you don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh, there's a Bechdel cast?
There's a podcast. Yeah.
It's actually, do you know what the Bechdel test is?
No, I don't. I'm like ping-ponging, like looking at you guys talking about it. It's very exciting.
So the Bechdel test is if a movie passes the Bechdel test, two women have a conversation with each other about anything as long as it doesn't have to do with a man. And you would be surprised how many movies fail this test.
Interesting.
Yeah, start looking for it because it is. I'm going to have to find that podcast because that sounds amazing.
It's called the Bechdel cast. And I've heard both the hosts on other podcasts.
Yeah,
and they're
women?
both very funny. Yeah, it's two women. They're both very, very funny.
I don't think you could name it the Bechdel cast if it's not two women talking to each other.
I think it's Jamie Loftus and I can't remember her last name, but it's Caitlin something, I believe.
Smith?
No, but I honestly haven't heard the podcast. I'm sure it's really funny and really good.
Check it out.
I've heard them separately on different podcasts, and they're both very funny and honestly very smart.
But yeah, this movie definitely does pass that.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like as much as some of the characters annoy us, they are fleshed out. You know, they do feel like real people. The next major thing that happens is that Stacy shows up, and she's got some kind of casserole. She's looking for the grandparents.
She's looking for the real grandparents,
right? Because they haven't been at their volunteer shift.
Right. We think at this point the real grandparents are the grandparents we've been seeing the whole movie.
Right.
But they just so happen to be out.
Yeah. And the doctor that showed up earlier had mentioned, I think the stress of volunteering might be getting a little much for them because they're getting older.
So it explains it away. You don't, there's no red flags or anything.
No, I didn't even see a red flag with Stacy.
Yeah.
Right.
No, not really. Not the first time.
They do mention, though, did you ever see her leave? Did you catch that?
What do you mean?
So when Stacy comes in and the grandparents are actually talking, this is the second time. So the first time Stacy comes, blah, blah, blah. But the second time Stacy comes and the grandparents are talking to her, the quote-unquote grandparents are talking to her.
Well, and they get her to follow them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then...
you never see her leave. No,
exactly.
You do
not. They actually say that. Did you ever see Stacy leave? And they kind of just went past that real quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we see
why she didn't leave. Yeah. Oh, the sister opened the door to scare the little brother, and it scared the shit out of Todd.
Yeah, it's like the pantry door in the kitchen.
Oh yeah,
and it scared. It was really funny.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure I made a note of that. I like to throw in those little "my drink made Todd shit his pants" every once in a while.
Which one was the big one that Todd literally fell out of?
That was
seat?
okay.
It's coming
and that's coming up. So like, and maybe that night. I think it's like Thursday night or Friday night.
It is okay, but before that,
I can't remember.
We see the grandma. We hear her laughing from the other room while music is playing
in the rocking chair.
She's laughing at the wall.
Yeah,
right. Yes. She's got her scarf on her head, which comes into play.
She looks like a grandmother, like in a market in 1945.
Yeah, things are starting to go off the rails.
Rosebud puts her hand on the grandma's shoulder and says, "Are you okay, Grandma? What's going on?" Because she's literally laughing at a wall.
Says,
with her eyes closed too.
Yeah.
That's what's even crazy. Like it's weird. You're looking at a wall, you're laughing. B, your eyes are closed. What the hell is happening inside of your head?
And she says, "Good afternoon. I have the deep darkies."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
you
is a
have
deep
to laugh
darkie?
to keep the deep darkies away.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
And then she takes her scarf and wraps it around her face and throat and starts pulling it.
Right.
Yeah.
Todd made an inappropriate joke.
Did I?
Some women are into that. But consent is important.
Consent is important. Did I say consent is important?
I think you did. Yeah.
Good for me.
Yeah, Todd's very big on consent. Okay, but so the next thing is they go to tell the grandpa about this, and they find him with the shotgun in his mouth.
Oh yeah, well it's just the girl. It's just Rosebud who goes into the barn and sees the grandpa.
Oh, I'm just cleaning. I'm just cleaning.
And he is like making out with the business end of the shotgun.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then, and this is the part that broke Todd because this is the next night. Well, and they say they're leaving the camera out this time.
And the little brother's been trying to get the camera up for like a night or two, and she's like, no, it's an invasion of their privacy, let's not do it. But then after the daughter sees this crazy shit going on, Rosebud's like, all right, we're putting the camera up tonight. We're going to see what's going on at night. And this is when we see the grandmother, at night, and it's just that static cam in the like living room, right?
Yeah.
And then the grandma walks into the kitchen and just kind of like dilly-dallies by the island there, or whatever she's doing. I don't think she's really doing anything. And then she walks over to like pantry door or something.
Yeah.
And she slams it like exactly 13 times. And then she starts. No, I was just like, I made a joke about having OCD. I was like, clearly she has OCD.
Yeah,
right. And then she walks off frame and then runs back and like right in the camera like bah!
And Todd
freaked
out of his chair.
I was so disappointed we didn't have any
know.
camera on him at that moment.
I was nervous for the laptop because he felt he felt all over the place.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, like you were wedged between chair and ottoman, feet in the air.
It was real gross.
It was hilarious. Listeners, I'm sorry. I failed you this time.
I mean, honestly, thinking about that moment gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I know. Didn't you hurt your arm?
A little bit, yeah.
I think you were talking about your shoulder for like at least the next 10 minutes.
It did hurt. It hurt my shoulder. You guys are jerks.
It was so
hurt
funny.
my shoulder.
Yeah. So, and then the next thing she does is she picks up the camera.
If anyone asks why my shoulder hurts, and I'd be like, I was lifting weights at the gym.
Yeah.
I just overdid it at the gym.
Yeah. If only we had a
grandma
recording
scared
of
me.
A grandma in a movie scared me.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got evidence.
Oh my god.
And so then she picks up the camera and then she goes to get a giant
huge
knife.
Ass knife.
Yeah. She's like walking upstairs with the knife
and
the camera.
She puts the camera down so that they can see the doorway. And then she goes up to the kids' room and starts kind of trying to open the door. And we can hear from the inside that she's trying to open it.
Because they leave a static camera up in their room all the night.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're asleep. They kind of got woken up by the door slamming a little bit, but then they quickly went right back to sleep.
Yeah,
I don't know if there was like some sort of time thing that happened in that where she's been doing a whole bunch of shit before she actually comes up to the camera and does your Todd scare.
Right. The Todd scare. Yeah, because I don't think we see them react to that because they just realize this happened in the middle of the night while they're watching the movement.
And then it's when the knife wielding grandma comes to the door that you're like, oh, okay. Like they're starting to wake up a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's really the next day where they
like
get fully woke.
Yeah.
When they are looking through the footage from the night before and they see grandma losing her shit. And is this when they call their mom or
I think
they just decide that?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think in the morning they decide we're going to call mom. She gets back later today from the cruise. We're going to call mom and make her come pick us up. We're not spending the night here.
Right. And one thing all throughout the week, remember grandma had spilled like batter on the camera of their thing, so their mom hasn't been able to see them very clearly in any of their Skype calls. But then at this point the daughter has scraped up all of the stuff, so now they can have a clear camera view of mom.
Did you remember that? I didn't even realize that's why she did that.
Yeah.
Well, but before that, because they haven't talked to the mom yet, they decide we're not going to spend any more time with them. It's now Friday. We're just going to get the F out of here at the end of the day. And they like stand in the driveway just playing ball, trying to avoid them as much as possible.
Right.
But
I did a section where the DJ Swizzlestick is throwing the ball in the air, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "This is how kids play." I thought that was
95-year-old woman.
Because honestly, I remember doing that. I remember like throwing because my brothers didn't want to play with me.
Is it because you were really loud all the time and you would like freestyle rap on them?
Worst child. I didn't freestyle rap,
like trying to break garage doors.
I was
and stuff.
really energetic and like I was the worst. I still am.
You've channeled it into a hit podcast though. Knock on wood.
Hit is a bit of an overstatement.
A future
but-
hit podcast.
Yeah.
But then daughter has to get the magic elixir for mom to learn to love again.
So they interview the mom.
Interview the grandmother.
Well, they interview the grandpa first,
That's
right?
right. Yeah, because they were talking about interviewing the grandpa.
Oh, yeah. And he starts talking
yeah.
about this white thing that he used to see around
The factory.
yeah,
he
he
talks
was
about some
working at a
crazy shit.
factory, yeah.
But he says he's starting to get sad because it's the end of the trip, which doesn't necessarily mean anything at this point, but we think that something darker is about to happen.
Right.
All right, so then
They
interview-
certainly allude to that. Sure.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Also, he just had a shotgun in his mouth last time,
Right.
so
Right.
you know.
So everything he says is accurate and true and fine.
Yeah,
Totally fine.
exactly.
Everything's fine. Look away.
Right, exactly.
I was cleaning.
No need
was
to
cleaning.
walk the 20 feet to the road and try to get help at all.
That's okay.
All right, so then they interview Nana, and she starts telling the story about, it's like this crazy story, and I was thinking, is this what the
about
lady
the
is?
aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're at the
Yeah.
bottom of a well, and they can
Right.
get you to like Alderaan 20,000 or something. I'm just making up stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Alderaan is from
yeah.
Star Wars?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes,
Sorry,
it is.
I just got 1,000 angry emails.
Yeah. But yeah, so the whole thing is like if you put people under the water, the aliens will keep them alive and they put them in a deep sleep.
Right.
And
they're
then
not
they'll take
dead,
them
yeah.
to whatever planet. It wasn't all.
What happens is you end up at the bottom of a pool.
Yes.
And you're Bryce Dallas Howard, and then you walk into the apartment complex, and it's that guy who was Monroe. I'm talking about Lady in the Water.
I know you're talking about Lady in the Water. I haven't
trying
seen
to
it,
connect.
but
I haven't either. Cause
when I was touring with the band, there was another band at the time called Silvertide, and they had one of their hit songs was on in the Lady in the Water soundtrack.
Oh, that's
oh
fine.
really?
M. Night Shyamalan's a fan of theirs. Yeah.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So he got a song in there. They honestly thought that movie would do much better, and it would
Well,
make them a lot of
everybody
money. and
did.
it
Yeah, I
didn't.
think everyone did.
If you haven't heard all of Show and Tell, which is the album by Silvertide, you're missing
Kiss
out.
and
It's
Tell?
great. It's an album called Show and Tell
Oh.
by the band Silvertide.
I was
it's
in a
an
band
amazing
called
album.
Kiss and Tell.
You were not. That's a joke from like 4 podcasts ago that I made and was great, but I think I may have cut it out.
Okay, so this is when they talk to the mom, and they say something's wrong. Come
Oh, and they
get us
hold
right
the-
now.
Yeah, they're saying something's wrong. You got to come get us right now. She's like, "You're scaring me. My heart's in my throat." And then they hold the computer up out the window so that she can see down. And she's like, "I don't know who those people
But
are.
what's
those
great,
are not
like
your
she
grandparents."
keeps saying the kids' names like Tyler, Becca, Tyler, Becca. Like you're like just freaking spit it
I know,
out. Like,
just say
takes
it.
Forever.
Sit down. Make sure you're listening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then finally she says, "Those aren't your grandparents."
Are those the people you've been staying with the entire week?
right?
Yes.
Where are your grandparents?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
And-
at that point, did you? I mean, Jen and I have seen this. Did you like expect that?
No, I stood up and turned around in my chair.
And tried to talk to us about some kind of social media thing because you were too afraid to keep watching the movie.
I didn't know. I was done at that point. I wanted this movie to be over
There were
so
a number
bad.
of times. Todd, put down the phone.
Yeah, I mean, I have to like break up the tension somehow,
Yeah.
guys.
Because I did not expect that. That
Me
did
either.
kind of shock me. When that
yeah. When I
happened.
first saw it, that was not.
Yeah,
not
I just
anywhere
expected
near what I was expecting.
They are old. They are a little more crazy than we thought they
Right.
were. They're dangerous. But no, I did not expect that they were not actually the grandparents.
Right.
And so then they call Officer Jerry and leave a message.
Was it Gary, Jerry?
Gary or Jerry.
Either one.
And
He's
there's
busy at the
Harry.
moment.
There's a point in the episode where they're talking about like making stories up in a building, and they pass by the police office,
Yeah.
and they say, "Oh, and Officer Jerry's not answering the phone at
Right,
the beginning."
right,
so that's
right.
kind of a
Oh,
callback to
yeah?
that. So then it's game night. We're gonna play Yahtzee.
Oh yeah, they're
Yes.
like, yeah.
This is what families
Why?
do.
Yes,
I don't
this is what
understand.
normal families do,
Yeah.
not alien
I
families.
do not understand
She
why
did
they.
have to clean the oven one more time though.
Oh,
Yeah, and then
fuck
closes the
that.
door on her this
Yes.
time.
The grandma does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Oh my god, I would have immediately. I would have pushed him. I almost said an old bitch. I would have pushed. I would have pushed the grandma out of the way, grabbed my sister, and run out of the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Well,
why are you not running?
They open the door, and this is where we see Stacy hanging from a tree right outside.
Oh,
the
because
door.
That's right,
they
that
do
was
make their way
before
towards the
the-
door.
yeah.
Yeah,
because that's when they
Swinging
go back
Stacy.
in.
Yeah.
But you can run past that.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
The granddad's not superimposing, like blocking the door. He just
No.
walks over and closes the door.
Right.
Right.
They could have just reopened it and run.
Right.
They
He
could
never
have.
really acknowledges it either.
Yeah.
No.
Just kind of closes it. Like, look, we got to play our game now.
Exactly. No, I'm telling you, somebody closes an oven on me, I'm out of there.
Well,
Yeah.
I think what
Okay.
creeped me out more than anything is she closes it and then how quickly she opens it again. I don't know. There was something about that freaked me out.
Right, right.
Just like,
It's like, it'll just take a second.
Right.
Yeah, and
It's
it's now that we know, well, we learned that she put her children in suitcases, so it's just that same kind of.
Oh, I
thing.
didn't really even
I didn't even think
that.
about that, but that's real freaky. I don't
Yeah.
like that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are
Then they play
playing this
shit
game.
Yahtzee.
They play shit Yahtzee. She says, "No, I'm sorry, it's Hasbro." though, not shit Yahtzee.
I
Milton
hate
Bradley.
Rosebud.
Yeah.
She's the most pretend. I hate her
she
so
did
much.
game-splain some stuff, and they're sitting and they're playing, and then they're
And
talking
at the
about.
stroke of 9:30.
He just pauses for a second, and then we hear
You just all the poopsies. Poopsie.
nice, yeah,
Gross.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then the
absolutely.
grandma stuffs her face with a bunch of powdered sugar cookies.
Oh my
just like,
God.
Yeah, and then looks at the camera and goes,
Shove 'em in.
Yahtzee!
It's so weird.
This is when it's like it's starting to really go off
yeah,
the
this is
rails.
where it goes
Yeah,
off the
yeah.
rails for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it wasn't already off the rails, because this is after we see Swingin' Stacy.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's
Swinging
off the
Stacy.
Yeah,
He's
I don't mean
mentioned
like
being in the cafeteria.
yeah,
That's
and going to
true.
the party,
Yeah,
the company
yeah.
party or whatever.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
costume party. He keeps getting ready for the costume party.
Mm-hmm. So then Rosebud goes down into the basement.
which is not where you should go.
No.
You should run out of the house.
She's a journalist, Todd. She
Now-
has to get to the truth.
Now, at that point, had Grandma gone upstairs at that point to get ready for bed?
No, I think Grandma's still
still
playing.
hanging
Because
out?
she doesn't go upstairs until Grandpa changes his
No, because remember, she's standing there with her arm up,
Yeah,
frozen.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we don't realize what's happened until a little bit later when we see Swizzle
Right.
Stick.
Yeah, with
Floor.
a
Yeah.
red spot on his face. So Rosebud goes down into the basement and she's looking around, and then she finds like a little corner. It almost looks like a well, except I don't think there's
Almost like
water
a
in it.
trash compactor.
Right.
It's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, so we see
Oh, okay.
pictures of what.
Yeah.
I thought it was a. Have you ever seen those like deep freezers?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was one of
yeah.
those just open.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, but you
It
might be
could've
right. It
been-
might
I
be a
don't know,
trash
something
compactor.
like-
Yeah, it
it's-
was just
it's
like a
something
big
of that
container,
size,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was open.
And you see the framed pictures of
Of
real
real
grandparents.
Yes, and
fake grandparents.
yeah, you see,
Yeah.
they're both in the same photo. So
Yeah.
I think, like you were saying, the crazy grandparents that are not the real grandparents were at the insane asylum
Right,
place,
yes,
right.
and they
We
took a
see their
photo with the.
jumpsuit.
We do
yes.
see their jumpsuits.
Yes,
You know, actually, I go back. Like, I think on the fridge, there's a picture of both couples together because they do a cool focus thing
Oh,
on
I
the
didn't
real
realize that.
grandparents.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure the only picture in the actual thing where the bodies are is of the real grandparents. And then
Because
we
you said,
like,
are those their real parents?
they must be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I said, are those her real parents? Because they actually, I meant the
Catherine
actress,
Hahn's
Catherine
real
Hahn's
parents.
real
Oh,
parents, because
yeah,
they look
yeah.
a lot like
And
her.
they
right,
could
right,
be.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
so
yeah,
good. Yeah,
it-
it's actually on the fridge first. So, like, you know.
And we see it
there's
right
some
after she's talked to the
relationship.
mom.
Right.
But it's not. I don't think it's uncommon for your grandparents to have friends and go out and
Right.
do things with
Right,
those
and have
friends and take
pictures with those
photos with those
people.
friends and then put them up. Like that's
Totally normal.
that doesn't seem super weird to me.
Yeah,
But
my parents have friends that I've never met because they're
sure,
like work friends
why
and I
would
don't
you?
live there
They're
anymore.
old.
Right.
What's the point of meeting them? They'll be dead soon.
They do go to Cracker Barrel together.
Aww.
Do they play Yahtzee?
I
They
don't know.
probably do checkers.
They
at Cracker
definitely play
Barrel.
checkers at Cracker Barrel. They're like, can we get a sheet by the fireplace? We want to take a poop in our pants while we play checkers.
This is my parents' friends, not my parents. My parents don't
Get it
say
right.
that. My parents are normal people.
Yeah, they just poop in their pants without announcing it.
All right, exactly. Whoever smelt it dealt it. Okay, what's the next thing that happens? So they find the jumpsuit from the insane asylum.
Yeah,
the
it's under.
institution.
It's literally under the photo of
Yeah.
maybe Catherine Hahn's
And
real
then
parents. Catherine
under-
Hahn, excuse me, real
Yeah, yeah.
parents.
Hahn.
And then she
And then
moves
we
the
find the bloody
jumpsuit and then
hammer.
the bloody hammer with hair
Yes.
still attached
Yes.
to
I
it.
like that. It's a nice detail.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's a nice touch, hammer touch, and then
Hammer time.
yeah, hammer time is when you lift the stuff up and you see the dead bodies there.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me, have you seen them?
Seen them.
Yeah. Tell me, have you seen them? Dead
Grandparents.
grandparents. Yeah, nailed it. So this is where the actual dead grandparents are.
Yeah, we
in the
see
bottom
them.
of whatever barrel they're in or whatever that is.
Some
the big
sort of container.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she turns around and Grandpa Pop is there.
Yes. And
Yes.
then
Pseudo Grandpa Pop.
Yes.
not quite a grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was a grandpa.
Almost a grandpa.
I don't know. I think they killed the kids before they could have
Not
grandkids,
quite a
right?
pop.
I guess
yes,
that's fair.
because
Yeah.
then he starts to kind of explain what's happening.
While he's chasing her, trying
Yes.
to like drag her upstairs, which he eventually does do. But yeah, he explains. What does he
He
explain? to?
explains that she has put her 2 children into suitcases a long time ago and killed them, which is why she's in the institution.
She
But
put them in suitcases and threw them into the river or
Right,
the
right.
lake or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was the
and
pond.
so then it puts that context, that story that she told us about the kids from the bottom of the lake into context.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Shutter Island kind of thing too, if you've seen that.
Spoiler alert!
Oh, sorry.
I liked it.
I did too. Yeah, we'll watch it. It's on the list. So she never got to be a grandmother. She never got to have this experience. They were talking about it, about their grandchildren coming to see them, and we start to realize she really wanted to have that experience. So she killed the real grandparents, and they took over. And so their plan now is to kill everybody.
Right. Yeah.
He says everybody's dying tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this starts the montage of me being super uncomfortable because we're cutting back and forth. He drags Rosebud up and locks her in the bedroom with Grandma.
And at that point, we see Brother with the goose egg on his head.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't actually see him get hit, but it's very strong
implied.
implication that the granddad hit him and like almost knocked him out.
Right.
Before he went downstairs to go see to Rosebud.
See to Rosebud.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also see him frozen. And this is where the football story comes back. We know that he is petrified. He can't do anything.
Right.
And so Grandpa is just walking, and it's cutting back and forth to like escalating creepiness in both of these different scenes. Grandmother attacks Rosebud.
But you're like in the bedroom. You know you're in the bedroom where the grandma is. And she,
Someone's in the bedroom with
in there.
Grandma.
She's got her camera still the whole time. I'm amazed that didn't get taken away from her by Grandpa.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, but then
She's a
you get little
journalist.
glimpses. Like you see that somebody had been in the bed but is no longer in the bed.
Yes.
And then you get little glimpses of Grandma.
Yeah, and then Grandma's standing right next to her, and she's just
Right.
kind
It gets
of looking
closer,
around.
and then she keeps looking.
Yeah.
Like that never gets really explained. Like why does she keep looking away and then looking back? Grandma's closer. She looks away, looks back. Grandma's even closer.
would never. I remember even saying
yeah,
that.
it was
I
a
was
little
like,
odd.
why did you take the fucking camera off Grandma?
Yeah.
You keep it on Grandma. If you guys, I'm sort of I like Doctor Who. I'm out of the bag about a Doctor Who fan. But the angels in Doctor
Shocking
Who, if you
revelation.
close your eyes or aren't looking at them, they can move, right?
Yeah.
But they can't move if you're looking at them.
Right.
You keep the fucking camera and light on that Grandma.
Yeah.
What are you
Don't
doing?
look away from that
Yeah.
Grandma.
Yeah. Then at a certain point, she ends up just like Rosebud ends up in the middle of the bed.
Yes.
Obviously the safest place because monsters live under the bed.
Right.
We
Oh,
had seen
and this is
Grandma,
creepy.
crawl underneath the bed.
It
and
made
then
me
you just,
very uncomfortable when she like squeezed her way under the bed.
Oh,
I was
and you
not
just
all right
like
with
see
that.
her hands like like fly. Oh my
Clawing up.
Never laugh like that again. That was very uncomfortable.
I like that effect of seeing her arm like just come around. I thought that was really.
I do too. And then she crawls up under the sheet.
But she's
and-
like first grabbing the comforter and kind of pulling that off, and then you see her come under the sheet.
Yeah.
But at that point, Rosebud has gotten the mirror shard.
yes,
Like,
Yeah.
because I think Grandma has smashed her
Yeah, she
face
smashed
in
her
the
face into
mirror.
the mirror, yeah.
Right. So she did get a shard of glass. So she did when she did get back in the bed, like she's got that with her.
And Grandma's on top of her.
Right,
And I
right.
love this because
It's
Grandma
very
is
uncomfortable.
attacking her for a while before she actually
Right,
stabs
right.
her. And it's kind of this real moment of, I don't actually want to stab a person.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know if
you
I
don't-
could kill someone.
Yeah.
Right.
But then when you don't have any more choice, that's when she does. And I love that they delay that and they don't have her just go nuts on
I also
Grandma
love that the
immediately.
camera is clearly being like moved around with the mattress movement. And
Yes.
stuff that you don't actually ever get a full clear picture of what the hell is happening.
Right, yeah.
It looks like she's biting at her. I mean, you don't really know what is happening.
That's true. It does kind of have
sort of look like
her
she's.
face is super close.
Yeah.
But you don't really know what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know that she is biting her, but
Yeah.
it looks sort of like
Right.
that.
Right.
And then she stabs her to death, and
then kills Grandma.
then
Yeah.
busts her way out with the camera,
Oh, yeah. She smashes
Yeah, she
literally
the camera
uses the
against
camera.
wall.
Yeah.
and then
And
opens
then-
the door, and then goes downstairs, and they start.
Yeah, because what we have not, the other part of this scene is the part that just makes me never want to
I
watch
think
this movie
this is
again.
I think this is the part that affected you the most.
It did.
And it's real. I'm not going to say it's not real gross. It is very, very gross. But this sort of stuff does not affect me as
Oh, this
bad as
bothers
like
me.
jump scares do.
Right.
But I hated this part.
Yeah.
It's, just, it's not scary. It's just like, oh.
This is the
what?
point where I realize I'm not as chicken shit about scary movies as I thought I was.
Oh.
Because I saw both of you guys get extremely uncomfortable when I'm sitting there
Oh,
going,
yeah.
Jacob has taught me well. Like I've been like desensitized to some of
You
this
probably
stuff.
have, yeah.
Okay, so but what happens is he takes his shitty diaper and smashes it right on
gross.
his face.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm always talking about is revulsion, and revulsion gets me. That's
Yes.
my kind of that's
That's your jump
my
scare.
found footage for Todd.
Yeah.
It just because for the rest of that movie I'm thinking he's got shit on his face. He's got shit on his face. And even when he's hugging the mom or the sister, I'm like, don't touch him. He's got shit on his face.
Yeah.
Oh, it just
the rain
makes me
did
so
a good number on him, I guess, before mom got to him.
And I mean,
you need more than rain.
right. And he's just frozen with the shit on his face. So then Rosebud comes down and attacks him, and they kind of tag team him. And he starts yelling. He's like reliving this football moment, and he's like, you got to tackle him with your arms, and like channeling his dad and everything that's happening.
That was very strange. And I was like, this is dumb.
I know.
Yeah,
it didn't quite work.
I didn't like that. No,
yeah.
I was like, I think it's perfectly reasonable for him to snap out of it when he gets shit smeared on his face,
right?
And be real just pissed about it,
or when he sees his sister getting attacked. Too. Like I think that's enough of a trigger. Yeah, I understand what they were trying to do with that scene. It just didn't quite work.
It didn't resonate for me very well.
They didn't do anything quite like that at any other point. So why do it there?
I don't think they'd set it up enough.
Extra. Yeah.
I did like they set up the part where he was frozen, which is why he's just standing there the whole time. But I don't think we needed any extra.
Yeah, you don't need.
But then he like smashes the faux granddad's
Not
head
quite
in
a
the
granddad.
door.
Yeah, with the refrigerator door over and over again.
We don't see if he dies, but he's definitely knocked out for sure.
Right.
Enough for them to get away.
You also hear police sirens sort of in that build-up. You hear police sirens, and then they smash his head in the door, and they go outside, and right as the cops and the mom are pulling up.
Yeah. Order has been restored.
Right.
Yes.
So she just hugs him with all that shit all over him.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a good mom.
She is. And if my kids had shit all over their faces, I would still hug them and love
kid.
them.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you would definitely clean up immediately.
Oh, yeah. Where's the wet
definitely
wipe?
had poopy on her foot the other day, and I don't know how she got poopy on her foot, but I wiped her foot to see what it was. I definitely had poopy on my hand.
Yeah.
I think gravity is probably how she got poopy on her foot.
No, they just kick their feet, and you never know when poop is going to show up.
No,
and so then we see the scene with the mom where she's talking about how she finally tells us what happened.
Yes, and I sort of like this scene because Rosebud is behind the camera. She's like, "You don't have to do this," and she's like, "I want to do this," and that's when she explains sort of what happened between her and the real parents.
Right, and it's really not that big of a deal.
It isn't.
Yeah.
I do like, and I thought this was good writing, although I do think the majority of this movie was not great writing.
I agree.
I really liked this last scene, and I liked that the mother acknowledges that the daughter was trying to get her the forgiveness that she never got.
Right.
But that forgiveness was always there for her to take if she had just reached out.
Right.
Because her parents had reached out shortly after the inciting fight that caused this rift between them.
Yes.
But she ignored the phone calls and just never reached back out to them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it puts into context the relationship that they have with their dad. She's like, don't hold on to anger.
And she even says that. I really like that last scene.
I do too.
It's very impactful, and it's a very, very good message.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad I thought you were going to make fun of that, so I'm glad you liked
I loved it. I thought it was
appreciate
great.
how short it was too, because I hate it when things get belabored at the end. Like,
I think it was appropriate. Yeah,
I think, and I overall, as far as the story is concerned, I do like the bookends of having Catherine Hahn's interviews.
Yes.
I think that works. But there are definitely some like little written things that aren't maybe the best.
Yeah, some of the dialogues.
I honestly think both the way the kids are written is very, very bad.
Yeah.
But I think that Catherine Hahn's written great, and I think M. Night Shyamalan knows how to write adults, but I think he does not write kids very well.
Right.
Unless they're like old or like 8-year-old creepy kids who see dead people who are supposed to be awkward.
No, but if you look at that, he's like 40 years old. Like that kid acts like he's 40 years old.
Well, but that's the thing. He is a unusual kid, and he writes him very well.
Right.
But when I first watched
that's the Sixth Sense, by the way.
Yeah, Sixth Sense. Sorry, but when I first watched this movie, I cried so hard at this last scene, and I don't know if I was just in a mood or something, but it really
cry during a lot of these movies.
I do.
I understand. That's
because I kind of just let myself go with it, and I'm like, because you have a good cry.
You project a lot of shit on every movie you watch, so like I understand why you cry a lot.
It's cathartic,
I cry a lot because I'm terrified.
Yeah, and we cry from laughter. From watching
that
terrified.
was one of my favorite movie viewing experiences.
Oh
was watching
when
Todd watch a movie.
He broke his arm because he flipped out of his chair.
I was at the gym and I hurt my shoulder, guys.
So how do you
That's what
explain this
happened.
to a physical therapist on Monday? It's my next
This
question.
is my podcasting shoulder.
My podcasting shoulder. I mean, it's not hurt that bad. I can feel it though still. As I move it, like
those arms on that.
I
chair.
have full range of motion, but it does hurt every time I move them.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You remember that scream every time.
Ugh.
And so then it's not quite the end of the movie because we get our
no,
the
it's
best
the end
wrap
of the movie. Yeah. The movie ends here.
We get
Do not
13-year-old Todd giving us the rap battle of how he
Oh
broke.
my God. I hate. Oh man.
There needs to be like a listener out there who can like somehow get footage of Todd in real life and then like edit you as that.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That'd be kind of the best.
Like deep fakes my my face onto his name.
They could just
Oh my
like
God.
Photoshop it, like how Luke got getting MAGA hat photoshopped into everything.
That
may
junk
be
was
one of my
hilarious.
That was
favorites.
really funny.
Yeah.
And that's the movie.
And that is the end of the movie.
Yeah.
At the end of the shitty rap.
And I liked it. I thought that rap was
You liked
kind of
the rap?
funny. Okay, the rap is not good,
No.
but I did kind of appreciate it. I thought
And
it was a
I
little
will say
sweet.
this, looking back, like there were a lot of embarrassing videos of me that my friends have from when I was like, I distinctly remember when I was like 12 and 13. I think it was Terry, the three girls that I was very close friends with in Florida, Laura, Terry, and Jacqueline. We would hang out at Terry's place all the time. And I think Terry's dad had a camcorder and we would just use it. And I distinctly remember, just to put it in perspective, and there are lots of videos like this, but I remember she was filming and I just like popped my head in frame and put my hands on my face like I
Home
was
Alone
Kevin
scream?
McAllister.
Oh, like Home Alone?
But instead of screaming, I said, "I've been framed," and then
my
popped
goodness.
out. So like
okay,
that's
so
the
Terry,
level of
Jacqueline, and somebody.
Terry, Jacqueline, and Laura.
Please send us these
my
videos.
gosh.
Patreon.
No joke. Terry, Jacqueline, and Laura were amazing, and still are amazing people. I'm sure. I just don't really talk to them anymore. But they were great friends at the time, and still are
that's
great
fun.
people. Anyway, so there's a lot of embarrassing videos of me out there like that.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway,
Yeah.
so let's talk box office.
Yep.
Because this actually was when I looked it up. When I was doing a little bit my box office research on this.
This is when you were avoiding watching the movie.
Oh yeah.
I and also because I'm super lazy and I do my research during the movie.
Fair.
That Jen like comes prepared with books and books of notes.
I do. I'm on my second book now.
All I do is go to Box Office Mojo and talk about it.
Right.
The budget on this was, do you want to guess how much the budget was?
15 mil.
Okay, what do you think?
I don't. I'm a bad guesser,
You
but I
are.
know it was super low.
It was pretty
$20.
low. $20. You're closer,
Okay.
Emily.
I'll
It
take
was
it.
$5 million.
Really?
$5 million, which is super low. But if you think about it,
Wow.
there really aren't many locations.
No.
Right? And it's really not very many actors. Like it's
No.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, even
I read that it was called a micro budget
yeah, I mean that's
and a microfilm.
a micro budget.
A micro budget. He actually used
One person's
his.
going to get that joke out there, and they're going to laugh their ass off. I mean, even if you think about beginning to end, stars of the movies to extras who are in the movies.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like maybe 9 to 11 people. Like there's not
Yep.
a whole lot of people even
Yeah.
in the movie, and then you've got crew on top of that.
It's mostly a single location.
It is. It's mostly
Yep.
at that farmhouse. So it's $5 million.
And okay, so he used his fee from After Earth because I think he wrote After Earth. Is that right?
I honestly don't know.
He
I've
was
not seen
somehow
After Earth,
involved, but he used that money to self-produce this.
okay.
Oh.
Because if we
okay.
remember Shyamalan,
Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night
Yes.
Shyamalan. Yeah, don't at me, guys. He started off with The Sixth Sense, which was huge.
Yeah, it did great.
And then
Yeah.
after was Unbreakable, which I love. Unbreakable.
Have you seen the sequel?
Split? Yes,
Yeah.
I love it, and I'm
Split's
so
amazing.
excited
I
for
haven't
that.
seen that, but it's
Split.
one that I actually want to see.
What is fantastic about that movie is James McAvoy.
Yeah, I
he
do love
is
him.
amazing. But so, anyways, then there was Signs, and he was starting to become known for his gotcha
The
twist at
twists,
the
yeah.
very end, and
And
it
I
was
think
kind of
this
becoming
movie
a
sort
thing.
of had one like those
It
haven't been
does.
your grandparents for 10
Right,
years.
right, right.
Well,
Yeah.
so what was after Signs? Was that one Lady in the Water, or was it The Village?
I have no
or-
idea.
Maybe,
And then
I don't
the
know.
I think it was The
Happening.
Village, then Lady in the Water, because Lady in the Water did really bad, and then like The Happening
Yeah.
did really bad,
And it started to become a punchline.
Yes.
And so what had been happening was he would shoot all the movies and then they would take them away from him and edit them
Yeah.
without him.
You know,
Yeah.
I think it's always good just in general for any movie writer, director, especially when you have had creative control of your stuff as a writer and then you still have it as a director, you have to get other eyes on it.
Yes, you
and
do.
I think
The George Lucas effect.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everybody
People are
needs to do
saying that exact same thing with J.K. Rowling and the new Fantastic Beasts series.
yeah.
And I've seen the new one. I really liked it, but I'm not like an uber nerd, and I don't know. And I don't say that pejoratively. I mean it like people are a lot more into that world than I am. So
You're like
if-
how I am with Star Wars.
or
like,
both. Yeah, both of them. Like I really like the world
I enjoy
that she
them from
created.
just outside
Yeah.
of that super hardcore fan
Yeah,
circle.
and I've read all the Harry Potter books, and
Yeah.
the Fantastic Beasts series aren't books, so there isn't like that source material you can go
Right.
to.
Do you know what your Patronus is?
No, it'd probably be like a rainbow unicorn, but I have no idea. But
Definitely what it is.
it would be like the Patronus. But anyway,
You're definitely a Hufflepuff.
Yes.
oh no, I'm a Slytherin for
Just
sure.
a puff.
You're a Slytherin?
Oh yeah,
What are you?
I
I
definitely.
have no know
I'm definitely a Slytherin.
I am not into all that.
I took the test.
Oh,
Not
so
that I'm
good.
like one of those people who's like anti it. It's just I never.
It's just not your thing.
Yeah,
that's
just
how I
never
am with
followed
Star
it.
Trek. Like
Yeah.
I like the first movie.
Or
I've seen a
Wars.
couple. Yeah, I like Star Wars. I've seen most of them.
Yeah, I like Star Wars too.
You know, just not my thing. But I will go all in on Stephen King.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
it's like
Yeah, yeah.
everybody has their
Even
thing.
though,
they're
and you
super
have to
nerdy
admit
about.
this, a lot of the Stephen King movies are very, very bad.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying he's very bad at making the movies because it's normally not him that makes the movies,
because
although the
of
one
his
he made
writing
was
style.
very, very bad.
Yeah. Oh, Maximum Overdrive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could talk for a long time about it. About
Anyways,
Stephen
let's
King.
get back on
But
topic
Yeah. So,
real
anyways, well, the reason he self-produced this and paid for the whole thing by himself is because he wanted to have creative control all the way through.
Sure.
And he wanted to get his edits back, basically.
That's fair. And I think, honestly, in this situation, it served him. Because
Oh, yeah, I think so,
it's
too.
not a bad movie. I don't think it's written well, but it's not a bad movie.
No, but
No.
when you compare it to the ones that had come out in more recent years, this was far better.
Oh yeah, this was
Yes.
his return to
I don't
form.
think it's Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, but
And it didn't do as
way
well as
better.
those. But
Yeah, so,
I
like-
think his wheelhouse is low budget horror with a twist. But because it's low budget, it can make $20 million and
Right.
it's making
and
money.
it's found
Right.
footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this cost $5 and domestically it made $65 million. So a huge hit
big return, yeah.
comparatively. Great
Yeah.
return. But
Considering where
overseas-
his career was
Yes.
too.
But and overseas it made $33 million. So almost $100 million combined.
Yeah.
For a $5 million budget, that's quite a return on investment.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
he did. It was great. It was good.
And
for
then
him.
the next thing he did was Split, which is more of his own story. He's continuing on with the Unbreakable
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So excited for Glass. Yeah.
Oh, me too.
This was the first film since The Village not to get any Razzie nominations. From
Oh
him.
wow!
Sorry, I guess
That's
we're
gotta be
launching
a
into
big
fun
wig.
facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into Gen Fun Facts with
Gen
that.
fun facts. When he was editing this, it took him forever, and he actually made 2 cuts, and one ended up being like very comedic and kind of a straight up comedy.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I almost said this throughout because there's a lot of comedic
well,
elements
especially
with
with
these kids.
Swizzle Stick.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
like, he is comedy throughout.
Right.
you
And
know?
I think he had an edit that leaned really hard into that. And then he had another edit that was very straight up horror thriller. And then he ended up kind of putting it somewhere in the middle, which is why I think it's successful because I
Right.
think there's enough of both elements.
Right.
Both of these kids are Australian.
Oh yeah.
What? I
Yeah.
didn't-
Okay.
I would
They
have
are.
not guessed that.
And I think part of why when she's talking, she sounds a little pretentious. I think it's because she's doing an American accent and she might not be so comfortable with it.
Interesting.
All
But
right.
yeah,
I think most of that her sounding pretentious is the script.
the script.
though.
I
don't-
agree.
I don't want to blame the actress for her performance.
Yeah.
When it's really the words she's saying that,
Right.
that I hate.
right.
And I love these 2 kids, and if you've seen the movie Better Watch Out, it's a Christmas movie, you should check it out. They are both in this movie, not playing brother and sister, but they're great in that movie, and
Yes.
that's a really good kind of fucked up movie. You should check it out. We'll do it next year, I'm sure.
I am not going to do that.
You're gonna we'll watch it for the podcast at
You
some
should come
point.
over to our house and watch Krampus. Have you seen Krampus yet?
I have not.
That's one that we bring out every Christmas.
I am
Like, we
not going
bought
to watch
it.
any horror movies that we're not doing
That
for
he
the
doesn't have
podcast.
to.
Like people, so we had a 12-hour horror festival here at Belcourt.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, you should definitely go do that." I was like, "No, I'm not going to go watch 12 hours of horror movies that aren't for the podcast. There's no way I'm doing that."
It's true.
I really
Krampus
do hate watching these movies.
He really does. I know.
Krampus
I
is
almost
good.
broke
like
my
it.
I do like
shoulder watching
Krampus.
this movie.
It's got Adam Scott in it, and I love him.
Yeah,
And it's got
And
Todd
Toni
Packer.
Collette.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
I love her. I
She's
want her to
great.
be nominated for all the Oscars. That's all my fun facts. I have.
Okay.
The original working title for this was Sundowning,
Okay.
and I think
Yeah.
it's smart that he changed it because I think that could have.
Yeah,
Me too, but I don't think that's a horrible name
I
for
Because
it.
would
one thing
have
that
gone with
Split
that.
has been
Yeah.
criticized for is not quite being so accurate with the science of multiple personalities,
Sure.
and so
Well.
I could see there being some criticism with the Sundowning term.
Sure.
But yeah, so those are my fun facts. Our scary scale is where a system of ranking the movies, how scary these movies are on the day that we watch them. Not the first time that you and I watched them.
Right, okay.
It's not about the quality of the movie. It's how scared we were while watching them.
Okay.
Our example of a 1 is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair.
All right, so Todd, scary scale it.
I think a 5.
Okay.
It wasn't super scary. It was more unnerving, and I'm better with unnerving than I am jump scares. There was the jump out of the seat. I didn't really jump out of the seat. I slipped out of the seat and hurt myself. But like legs in the air, ass on the
Daintily
ground, sort of.
slipping
Yeah.
while screaming
But it
the whole
wasn't.
time.
It was really just that one jump scare that really got me.
Yeah.
And then the hide and seek jump scare wasn't that bad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just unnerving. And I do better with that than I do jump scares. So
Yeah.
a 5.
Okay. Emily?
So you said for me watching it the second time.
Yes.
Well, how many times you watched it? How did you feel today while watching
Today,
it?
I honestly probably a 2.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think as I was watching it this time, I kind of knew what to expect, but things that I thought were scary the first time didn't hit at all this time.
Right.
And I was having just so much fun watching Todd.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was entertaining. And I think that some of Shyamalan's stuff like benefits when you rewatch it because you know what the twist is going to be.
Right.
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. I corrected myself.
You still said Shyamalan.
Oh, sorry, Shyamalan.
Yeah,
It's not ShamWow.
Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Shyamalan. But this is one that I don't think you necessarily get that much out of watching it again if you know what the twist is.
You mean
know?
it's not as scary?
I think it's not as scary, but
Sure.
I mean, like when you go back and you watch Sixth Sense again and you know that spoiler, Bruce Willis is dead the whole time, you pick up on interesting new little details. And you're like, I should have seen that coming. I don't think this has that much of that. I think the twist
is some
is
of that though, and
a little.
You pointed some of it out with like maybe that guy knew that they were on the news or whatever. The guy who was following them,
or even just the picture on the fridge of the real grandparents.
I didn't notice that.
And these
So
fake ones.
But
those are things I didn't think about the first time.
But there are a lot of those things in Sixth Sense.
There are a lot more, and I don't think there are that many. And so I think when you rewatch this, if you already know what the twist is, it takes the impact out of the twist, but it doesn't really add that much back in.
Sure.
Right.
But for me, I'm going to rank this higher because of that diaper on the face, man.
That's rough, man.
That's like my kryptonite. Like, just gross
Shit
stuff
face.
like that. He got shit-faced. So I think I'm going to give it a 5 too.
All right.
Because it just, it makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's that revulsion stuff, and you do you do better with jump scares.
I do,
and I do better with revulsion. Like I hate jump scares so much, and revulsion just makes me squirm. But I can still watch. Like when jump scares are about to happen, I am very commonly looking like at a corner of the screen or looking just like off the screen.
Yeah,
but I can still see the periph. But I'm not looking directly at it.
Have you ever gotten to the point now that you've seen a few of these where you can anticipate a jump scare at all? Okay. Did you anticipate any of the jump scares here? Okay. But they still scare you.
Yes. They're still terrifying. I hate
they
them.
still get him.
Okay.
So that's our scary scale.
Nice. So Jen, what are we doing next week?
Okay, well, we're into December. We're talking about some Christmas stuff, and we're going to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. So where can people watch it?
How are we going to watch this show?
So you can watch Silent Night, Deadly Night on YouTube, Google Play, PlayStation, Apple, and Vudu. So watch it before next week.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. So if you guys want to follow us, we are at Horror Virgin on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Jen is at Jen Ferratu on Twitter and Instagram, and I am at Tajay Awesome on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And guys, check out the website, horrorvirgin.com.
Yep.
Check out the blog, all that good stuff, the store, get a bunch of merch, all that good stuff. So, Emily, thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching the movie with us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell Jacob that we remembered that we are members of the Modern Horrors Podcast.
Yeah, I will.
And if you want to check out their podcast, it's Modern Horrors, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to check out the other podcast on the network, it's Final Girls and Death, Dying, and Other things. All great podcasts. Check them out.
And you should demand that Emily be on the Modern Horrors flagship show.
I love it. Yeah, and I hear Mr. Rodriguez and Mr. Hopkins might have some ideas.
There's some rumblings.
We'll
Awesome.
see.
Nice.
See. Yeah.
Well, we will look out for
Lady
that.
Horrors.
Yeah.
I love it.
But that's going to do it for us here at the Horror Virgin.
Yeah. Woohoo. Thank you so much for joining us, Emily. It was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Oh, I'm Jen.
And I am Todd.
Mwah, ha, 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 ha.
Bye, nerds.